You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Good evening. This is the time that you would normally hear my intro playing to you with that soft, smooth, jazzy sound of Year of the Cat. Unfortunately, it's not functional, so I am your intro as well as your host. You're listening to Paranormal Experience Radio, and I am Kat Hobson. I'm so thrilled to be here tonight. You know, I just got back from the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash that was hosted by the Ghost Exchange, and I'm so sorry, Pam, I just completely messed that up. But it was hosted by Steve and Pam Berry, and it completely was supporting the Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors Incorporated. I ran into so many friends, former guests, new friends, people I've dealt with online for probably the last 10 years, and it was wonderful. Anytime I can get a hug off Krista Segere and Jeff Leeper and Jane Zanito and all in 3 days, I'm a happy girl. So, you know, if you have a chance, you need to go and check that out next year. It's a wonderful event. And I am here to welcome my friend, someone that y'all absolutely are nuts for, and I know that, and someone who has come through an extreme haunting, and we'll talk about that too a little bit, and has moved so much farther up. She and her family have all just found their way into absolutely wonderful lives. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that because Andrea has so many things going on. She is brilliant. She is kind. She is all about positivity, even in stress. Hi, Andrea. How are you? Andrea Perron.
I'm not as stressed as I was 10 minutes ago. I can tell you that.
Me either.
You should have seen me running through this house. I hear the Skype. And then my phone starts ringing and I'm like, Dad, answer my phone. Dad. I can't find him anywhere. It's like, my best friend in the world, and I can't just ignore the phone. So I answered the phone. I'm like, Susie, I can't talk to you right now. I'm starting an interview. And that was my last 5 minutes before we actually came on the air. But that's okay. My adrenaline's going. I'm well caffeinated. I'm ready, willing, and able. You can shoot anything at me. You know that as my personal friend. There's nothing off the table. You can ask me anything at all, my dear.
Well, I appreciate that. And, it's always good to get that adrenaline rush as you go into the show. We both have that going on tonight. So, lots of fun. Well, how is your dad, that wonderful man?
Oh, he's great. He's just lovely. And a couple of our friends, he's coming up to Michigan to the Sioux with me tomorrow for the weekend, and it's his birthday on Monday. He'll be 83.
Really?
And my mom's birthday is on Friday. So it's, it falls every year. It seems to fall on that weekend where, they're August 24th and August 27th. So as soon as I get back from Sault Ste. Marie, I'm going to drive up and spend a couple of weeks with my mom before all heaven breaks loose. And I have to get on the road for the duration of the year. I'll be pretty much gone until the middle of November. So and in the midst of that, have written and am publishing a new book that I was instructed to do it. It was grand total. I opened the file on it. I thought about it for about 3 weeks while I was working on my second screenplay of the third so that we can get the movies full steam ahead for the trilogy. And then I had a very special experience a healing that occurred for me in May 24th. And then for the next few weeks, I just kept getting these flashes of thoughts and things that I needed to share and I needed to write down and I needed to express and I needed, and about the galactic family. And it is my true passion in life. I mean, nothing matters more to me than knowing we're not alone in the universe. So I kept making notes and notes, and they were just piling up all over my desk. And on July 7th, I think July 7th or July 8th, I opened up a file, and in one day I had my title, I had my index, and I had started writing the book. And about 3 weeks later, I had a rough draft. And since then, I've been polishing it and editing it and adding photographs of some of my best captures and, really putting together a volume that I hope will touch a lot of hearts and in my little part of the world, of the paranormal world, will open people's minds to what's all around us and what's integrated with us, and that's the galactic family. It's a given. They're here. We finally have official governmental disclosure as of December of last year. It's I thought there would be some big hoopla about it, but there was like nothing.
Nothing. No crickets, right?
I know.
Pretty
I couldn't
much.
even believe it. I couldn't even believe it. No, I mean, and it made all the national news outlets. It was everywhere, omnipresent for about 3 or 4 days, and then we just moved on. And I don't know if it was a case of, people thought that it was quote unquote fake news, or if they just assumed that it was true all along and kind of humphed and said finally, or if they were just frightened by it and chose to ignore it. And it might be a combination of those three, and there might be other variables as well. But I was shocked by the absence of reaction to it. And something told me I needed to write this book, not only to write about what happened to me the night that my crippled body, my very badly hurt body was healed, but how that happened and what my engagement with them is. So my new book is called A Wonder to Behold, Guideposts for Intergalactic Engagement with Humanity.
I cannot wait to read it.
It's intense.
I know that we have talked about this before. People are always apparently surprised when we go into discussion of ETs because, we're both supposed to be paranormal people. And I did do air quotes. That was just hilarious. But like you could see that.
Yourself? Very cool. That's very funny.
I'm just making emphasis for me. But we both are interested in this.
Yeah, but it does fall under the umbrella of the paranormal.
Yep.
It's not. There's an ephemeral quality about it. There's a mystical quality. There's a dimensional quality about it. It's fifth dimension versus the spiritual realm, which is fourth dimension. It's probably, I would say, of everything that's under the paranormal umbrella, which is quite expansive.
Mm-hmm.
I would give it more credence than virtually anything else.
Well, I've got to tell you that I do too. And I was very fortunate. I know that you follow my travels like I follow yours. I was at Contact in the Desert this year. And I got to meet someone who has rocked my world for quite some time. And that's Whitley Strieber.
Oh, I love him. He's so great.
He is. Have you spoken with him since he's written his new book?
No.
He and Anne wrote it together after she crossed.
Yeah.
And to say that relationship has continued in a spiritual and ET realm would be an actual fact. The woman is still with him. They are in communication, and they planned that about 30 years ago, and he had forgotten about it. So definitely it's still there. Yeah. And I just, I learned so much when I was there, and it just struck me that, gosh, I wish Andrea was sitting right here because we could be discussing this stuff as it's happening. And, I too was shocked by the lack of response to the video. I mean, it's video.
Yeah,
It's right
it's
there.
still what. Well, I made about a week later. I made a video about it, Kat, because I was really kind of thunderstruck
Mm-hmm.
by the silence around it. And so I made a video that's out on, anybody can find it. It's out on my, it's called Disclosure, and it's on my Andrea Perron YouTube and House of Darkness, House of Light YouTube channels. And I addressed that. But I really think that, as I described it in the video, I think that it was nothing but a deflection technique and that there's something much bigger going on. And I don't for a moment think that anybody walked into the Pentagon on the morning of December 16th, 2017, and said, let today be the day that we tell the world the truth.
Right.
And, oh, let's completely circumvent the White House, and let's do this on our own with an ex-government official that no longer works for us, but worked with us and ran this program. Nobody did this spontaneously. This was, I believe, a well-planned, well-coordinated event, and it was a deflection technique, and what I described at the time as imparting knowledge equivalent to a snowflake on top of an iceberg the size of Antarctica.
Yes.
It was a crumb and a morsel and a nothing, but what it was official governmental disclosure directly from the Department of Defense. And it was about an incident that occurred off the USS Nimitz, just southwest of San Diego in 2004. They lied through their teeth about this whole program being shut down, over and done with,
Right.
The amount of money that went into it. I mean, it's just absurd. It's ludicrous that they would, put this man out there no longer under the guise of, his uniform, and just shovel this misinformation our way. What they did do was track a vehicle, and they were honest about that. They tracked a vehicle, a vessel that went from 60,000 feet to 50 feet above the surface of the ocean in a measurable amount of time, a fraction of a second. And then they chased it down, except that it had cloaked, and all you can see beneath it are the vibrations of the surface of the ocean. And they filmed that. And interestingly, the Weather Channel did a piece on it, but they didn't use an anchor, and the report had nothing, zero, to do with the weather. But they did explore it a little bit more deeply, and a little extra footage showed up in the Weather Channel piece that they did on it. And as I said, it was a crumb, a tidbit, and a morsel. And it was riddled with inaccuracies, and it was riddled with misinformation about what that program did, how it functioned, who was involved, and its status as defunct. I don't for a second believe that. I know better.
Yeah.
So, and I know you do too. So it's, we're still playing games. We're still being fed pablum like we're babies, and there's a little tiny spoon at our lips. And I find it disheartening, disconcerting, infuriating.
And offensive. Offensive. We are not imbeciles.
No, well, some of us are imbeciles.
Well, yes, but we're not incapable. And it's just, I find it very frustrating because, this is not that man had not been gone from his Pentagon official duties long enough to be with To the Stars. I mean, he was still under all of the rules that still apply, because you have to go through an extensive time frame before you can go into another position of that nature.
Yeah,
so it had to be implanted.
Yes,
and then,
he was, absolutely. And, he agreed to it. But the thing is that he is in full possession of his security clearance.
Right.
And had way more information imparted